questions. One question right here. The question right here is hell all evil? And if it is, don't we say that God is in all places, even hell? And isn't God all good? So how can hell be all evil and have good in it? If we say, you heard the question? Repeat the question. Is hell all evil? And if it is, don't we say that God is in all places, even hell? And isn't God all good? So how can hell be all evil and have good in it? The part of the question actually that's really good is that God in all places. God is omnipresent. We can never say that there's a place that God is not there. The issue with hell, or the biggest problem with hell, is that you know God is there, but have no way to access Him. It's exactly like you're in the desert, and you're so thirsty, you're about to die from thirst, and you're standing next to this big water tank, and you don't have any tap. You don't have any faucet. It's right there next to you, but you have no access to it. This was what the rich man experienced when he was aware of Abraham, aware of Lazarus, I'm sure aware of God, but had no way to connect with Him. And this was the biggest torment, to be cut off, to be there, they are right there, and to be separated. On the opposite side, heaven is to have, as the Revelations 21, the new heaven and the earth, and the dwelling of God with His people. This indwelling, this fellowship is the best thing about heaven. That's why when we say liturgy is window in heaven, because we have fellowship, we have communion with God and with one another. Aren't we all sharing the body from the same pattern and the same chalice? So that sense of fellowship begins on earth and is perfected in heaven.
Here's a question, just by chance of just in my face. Tell me how to be frustrated without being judgmental. It's my life story. So if someone can answer this so you can give me an answer. It's actually it's actually very easy. You can be frustrated. If you look at it deeply, you get frustrated with either behavior, actions, situations, what have you. But when we make the connection with the person, of course it's very difficult sometimes to separate the two. But when you love the person, it's easier. Actually, it's very hard to be judgmental. Maybe I got an edge over you guys because I'm a father, not a priest, but a biological father. So you learn to see the one you love doing frustrating, not that my kids personally do anything frustrating, no. They're angels, they're an example for their mother and myself. But it allowed things to chemically develop in me to be able to be frustrated without hating the person. Your brothers and sisters, siblings, you can be frustrated with them and then wished that they would be hit by a truck and die. You can't, can you? And if it was that, I mean, with the exception of certain things, a certain dysfunctionality in families that somebody could be okay with something catastrophic happening to a sibling, but you can be very frustrated with your brother or sister, but if you even think about the thought of their death, you all of a sudden melt and you don't feel that same frustration or anger. That's because you have love, and yet the behavior is frustrating. So you learn to distinguish. As a Christian, we call each other brothers and sisters. The Protestants actually are much more better at this than we are. But it is something very important that is amongst us, and as the woman was saying about the eating and drinking of the same plate and cup, families used to do that. This whole thing of one bowl in the center of food and everybody has their separate plate and everybody scoops for themselves, that's actually a new and improved thing, or like some sort of contemporary Western whatever. But in the old days, in the old country, that one bowl is set in the center and everybody has either a spoon or a fork or bread and they scoop out of, but everybody eats of one bowl. And I've seen also in many homes where they have one cup with one bottle of water, and each would pour and drink and put the cup back, and the other one would take a cup and take the same cup and pour the water and drink. It was a family thing at the table. And that's, it's amazing how being health conscious actually divides the family. But anyways, that's so we are to be brothers and sisters, and it is a training. It's a training. When you find yourself judgmental towards someone, to the point, I mean, be careful, I mean, we all, judgmentality is important. We do it all the time, but it's a matter of negative judgment or a judgment where you put yourself in a condemning position or judging an action. Evaluating a situation is judgmental, or judging a situation. So you have to keep in mind how to distinguish the action, but the person who's doing it is as stubborn as you are, is as blind as you are, is as ignorant as you are. If you notice, we frustrate people too. Someone's asking this, you're not the one that's frustrated and everybody else is the one that's frustrating you. You are as frustrating as the person you're frustrated with. So we all have behaviors, attitudes, or mentalities, or situations where we can agitate another person. But does that make you bad? You know you're not. But why are they bad? And if you're doing it out of certain innocence or certain weakness or certain something, they're doing the same thing. So even when you find out later that you were really being stubborn or really being foolish or really being whatever, you kind of get embarrassed and wish that nobody would be so harsh with you. In the same way, consider those people that may frustrate you as human as you are, as desiring to be good as you are. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is a training. And a training means every single time you're frustrated, put yourself under a microscope, understand each feeling, every negative, think about that friend or that person who frustrated you, and what could be in their mind, try to put yourself in their shoes. Take the time to analyze. And then you'll get into certain understandings and wisdoms, and then you'll learn to love not just that person, but mankind. You get to feel how everyone is your brother and sister, because, I hate to sound like an evolutionist, but we're the same species, you know? We're so connected, we're so much the same, that it really does become easy to see each other as brothers and sisters. Even if you judge with love, I mean, if you want to know what the difference, if you judge with hatred versus you judge with love, that's the bad judgment and a good judgment. That's that's actually the level that you guys are supposed to be. You know, we tell kids to judge the action, not the person. But now that you're at this age, judge with love. Having already discerned the action from the person, now judge with love. When you judge with love, you think about, how do I help the person? Or how do I understand things better? There's a betterment that comes out of it, something progressive that comes out of it, instead of just condemnation. So judge with love. If you're frustrated and you learn, or you should be already able to discern the action from the person, feel for what the person is all about, because he's just like you or she's just like you. And as much as you want people to deal compassionately with you, you be compassionate to the other person, because they mean as well as you, and they're as innocent as you are when we all make mistakes.
My question is, who is the most awesome priest here? So Bruno Marcos, the secret friend.
I thought was doing some setting us up for something. Okay.
He got one out of the way. Well, cheating.
This question says, why am I born with the original sin? Why are we being punished for the mistake Adam and Eve made? It was actually St. Augustine. St. Augustine was the first person in his writings to say that we inherited the sin of Adam and Eve, And he also, if you remember the heresy of Arius, how the Arians were saying like Christ is not equal to God the Father. St. Augustine was actually the one who wrote and said that the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son to try to make God the Son more like God the Father, to fight against the Arian heresy. But this ended up changing and ended up influencing the creed a couple centuries later. So it was during the time of St. Augustine that this idea of original sin, being like inheriting the sin first, came into point. And that was kind of a St. Augustine in the West. Our Orthodox belief, in Alexandria, is that we don't actually inherit the sin, but we inherit the consequence of the sin. Make sense? Like if
You also say we inherit the nature to sin, not the sin itself.
Exactly. So when a dog has an offspring, what is it? A puppy, right? When a cat has an offspring, what is it? A kitten. When a kangaroo has an offspring, what is it? A joey, right? That's what's going to get you on that one. So every offspring inherits the nature of its parent, right? So nature is corrupted, so we inherited the corrupted nature, the consequence of the sin, not the sin itself, right? Why can't we all be put in the same situation as Adam and Eve and be given a chance to eat or not? We're given this every single day. Adam and Eve fell once. How many times a day do we fall? Right? Even in the prayer of the liturgy of St. Gregory, right? We say, of one plant you forbade me to eat from, right? But of my own will I did eat, and I put your law behind me by my own counsel, by my own thoughts. So, Adam and Eve fell once, we fell continually every day.
Actually, that's not a question. The person, I don't have an immediate question. I would just like to take the time to thank the priests who are serving in the retreat and the board members of CS and COF. Thank you for the positive feedback, but we still welcome any negative feedback as well. It's all a blessing. A couple of questions here. I have many prayer questions. I'll try to answer them also because they're relevant. Maybe prioritize them, but what's the difference between praying in a church with people surrounding you and when you're not at home praying with yourself and God? prayer is a continuum. Yes, there are three flavors of prayer. I think these are just flavors of prayer. There's what I learned growing up. There's a personal prayer. There's a family prayer, which is sometimes falls between the cracks, and there's congregational prayer. And all the three flavors are important. Exactly like water exists in three phases. It's the same thing, just different kinds of whatever it is, whatever the setting, I should be connecting with God. And I should also, when I'm in the congregation, pray together, but at the same time be able to connect one-on-one with God. If I cannot do that, then again, we fall back to the prayer that's not fervent, that's not effective. To have an effective congregational prayer doesn't mean we sing. Yes, unity is great, but more important than unity, we can sing a hymn together in the most beautiful and way and so forth, and wow everybody. But unless I individually connect with God, that's not prayer. So whatever the setting is, I have to connect with God. I feel God isn't hearing, and it affects not only my prayers but my faith. My prayer, but my faith as well. How can I address this? This idea that God is not hearing is again part of devil's warfare. You have to realize that if you know who God is, you know He is hearing, because He is omnipresent and omniscient. So He knows everything, He knows what's said around, and He's omnipresent everywhere. So if I feel that God is not hearing, I'm either doubting His omnipresence or omniscience. Right? So when you get this temptation, realize this is from the devil. If we're successful in our prayers, does that mean we'll be successful in whatever we want, even if it's not the will of God? We'll have successful prayers praying according to God's will. The question again, if we are successful in our prayer, does that mean we would be successful in whatever we want, even if it's not the will of God? No. It's the acceptable prayers pray according to God's will, so you would not get anything, if you get something against God's will, this is not the result of your prayer, for sure. This is your own choice. Okay? Can I advance in my spiritual practices, like reading more Psalms and doing more Metanias without the advice of my father of confession? It's always advisable that if you want to do prayer, reading the Bible, don't need to take permission from father of confession. This actually, your father of confession will be asking how are your prayers and how Bible readings. If you want to go over and above and beyond the Metanias and some stricter spiritual exercise, you need his advice. At least the big things, you don't need to ask him for permission. You should be doing by yourself. How do we know that the feeling that we get from praying is God's answer to our prayers and not just our own desire? We talked about this in one of the workshops. There's the grace of God, and as His Holiness said, I'll be praying until I take something. Of course, it's going to feel good to pray personally, but I think the peace of God. I love Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Don't be anxious for nothing but everything, but by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And God, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. There's a peace. There is a peace that's human peace. I'm at peace because I saw this, or I learned this, I realized this. This is peace. But there's peace that is unexplained by human standards. Like, how can you be peaceful when all this is taking place? This is something from God. This is beyond human. Let me change something.
I have a bunch of questions about dating. And I think it's best if Abu Antonis will answer them.
I am definitely learning from this retreat how to be clever like Abu.
What are your views about dating at this age? What? Anywhere between 12 to... Wait, some of you guys act 12 or 11? You prove my point. Thank you very much. Couldn't do without you. What if a person likes someone and they aren't sure if they are ready to date? What should they do? But this is a huge topic to talk about, but few things. One, everything has to have a purpose, and everything has to have a limit. What's the purpose of having a relationship? Marriage? Okay. So the question is, are we ready for marriage? Are you going to go to her father and say, Uncle, by the way, I'm studying and I'm still working. Within 20 years, he's going to make $5,000 a year. What? So, are we ready on so many levels? Are we ready socially? Are we ready spiritually? Are we ready academically? Are we ready? The problem is, today we see someone, we think he or she is the right person, but we don't realize we mature as we grow. And I know they say women mature early 20s, guys mature late 60s. There is a difference So today I think I like someone because these characteristics, but in actuality I'm going to change the way I like, or the things I like about someone, and he's going to change too, and vice versa. So what I thought I liked is going to change in a year or 2 or 3. So maybe I'm not ready yet psychologically or in any way or shape. So I have to be very careful, and based on this questionnaire that I ask myself if I'm ready or not, and what's the purpose, if there's the thought that comes into my mind that I think I'm ready, or I am ready, and through the guidance of my father of confession, and then we go to the next point, which is there has to be limits. And these limits have to be preset, not as we go. Preset means my personal life and what we talk about, there are limits. There are physical limits. There is so many limits, I have to preset them before. Because once we cross these limits, then we have to take a step back. Any relationship that has the physical aspect, it fogs up the relationship and you cannot see the person in the way you want to see them and get to know them. So, this is pretty much in a nutshell. And pray about it, think about it, and get guidance. If it's God's will and you are ready, she is ready or he is ready, then you pray, you think, and you seek guidance. then you take steps. Not you take steps first, then you ask Abuna, what do you think? Well, you already, there's no point of this question at this point because you already decided and took action and you went ahead. But it should be prior to. But if I'm not ready, then maybe I should put it in the parking lot for now, that thought. And when the time comes, and if this is still the same person I like about this same person what I liked 2 or 3 years ago, then we pray about it, we think about it, we seek some guidance. I remember, and I'm sure all the fathers here experienced this, there was a couple that I knew personally. They were dating since they were 15 or 16. They both finished college, they both were working, they got engaged. A couple months before the wedding, she came and she was crying her head out because she said, I don't know the person that I'm getting married to. Like, what are you talking about? You guys been together for as long as I remember. But I don't. We were kids, we thought we liked each other, we thought, you know, we're good for each other, but as we grow, we mature, we grew apart, and we're totally two different people. Kind of, she did the smart choice, otherwise she would have a miserable marriage. But why put yourself in that situation where you waste your emotions, waste your feelings, and waste a lot of time, and you might do things that you might regret. So take it, go up the ladder the right way and don't try to skip steps. Otherwise, if you fall, you will fall very bad. So I think for the most part, I read the others just in case there's something different. How do you tell a friend that you think they are dating the wrong person? If they get angry with the subject, is they are I don't know something brought up. Basically, they're saying how do you tell a person that they're dating the wrong person? I would get guidance on that because, it's sometimes a sensitive issue, but I guess it goes back why they're dating to begin with. That's more of a bigger question. And fathers, please jump in. Because in the morning, the lights are on when no one home today. Right now, no lights and no one. So. What are some of the signs that a relationship, whether friendship or dating, is not edifying? Remember in the morning we talked about the 5 minute a day. We sit with ourselves and kind of meditate. Use those 5 minutes as your scale to see where you are. Are you meeting your daily goals, your goals? Are you on the decline or incline? It's going to be very easy to tell. If you stop meditating and you stop praying, you stop going to church, you stop fasting, right away this is a given. And it is a very good question actually. And sometimes we don't have the courage to walk away. And that's another problem with dating. If not the right time or with the wrong person. We know we're doing things we're not supposed to do, but we don't have the courage to walk away because we claim that, it's been a long time, we've been together for so long, and we know each other, I wasted all my feelings, and all of a sudden, I am so weak in walking away. But we should have the courage to walk away from any kind of relationship, even if it's just friendship. Why doesn't the church address the topic of dating? What are we doing now? I'm not sure.
Drugs, dating, dancing, what are the...
Jesus.
As college students, we do it and we do it wrong. So why doesn't the church tell us how to do it right?
Can I come on this? Yeah, please. Can I jump in? Okay. The church really does address this. The priests do address this. The problem is, when we get all emotional and we do what we want to do, we don't listen. Isn't that the truth? You know what I mean? That's number one. Number two, we all know for young kids. Anyone remember the name Joshua Harris, the author? He wrote a book called like, Kiss Dating Goodbye. All right. If you read that book, he's not Orthodox. He's not Egyptian. He's not. This is an American Christian person, but he's explaining all the reasons why starting dating too early are dangerous. You know what I mean? You guys are getting to that age where you're going to start thinking about, for those of you who are older, nearing graduation, and so on. When you get to the point when you, because we jump from don't date, to not saying anything, to yalla ya binti shid headek, why aren't you married yet? Right? We jump from that one to the next, and then sometimes that medium stage in between. I'll tell you this. The same author who wrote I Kiss Dating Goodbye, right, wrote a book called Boy Needs Girl, the true, like, a good way for courtship. You know what I mean? So I read that book. I thought it was very beneficial. It all comes down to the right timing. Right? We all get emotional. We all get, we want to act on it. And then many times we act prematurely. You know what I mean? So stick with the guidance of your father of confession. What Abuna said, he said, check with your father of confession. If you're doing something, if you're not telling your parents and if you're not telling your father confession, chances are you're probably not doing something you should be doing. Does that make sense? So stick to your father confession, speak with your parents, and move. We want to see everyone move forward and be successful in life. It's just doing the right thing at the right time is what it comes down to. But you can't say that it's not addressed because it's addressed all the time. I think so. You know, but when you, again, if you're younger and you're not ready yet, it's still like Kiss Dating Goodbye. Alright? When you're getting to that older stage, it's boy meets girl, it's the right way for courtship. But again, the right way to go about it is the guidance of your father confession, the guidance of your parents.
I hope we can have a funeral. Can I give you guys like a little summary of a lot of this stuff with dating? Everything is a red light until you get a green light. Not everything is a green light and choose until, choose her, choose him, and then it becomes a red light. Choose another, and then it becomes a red light. No. Everything is a red light until the green appears. The green will be when you do find an okay from your father of confession, and it will be confirmed by approval of your parents when it comes to the other person. Timing is critical. Those that know the things that I speak about, the right thing, the right way, the right time. Every decision, everything, it has to be the right thing. You got to do the right thing, the right way, the right time. The right thing, the right way, the right time. Well, no, we're not going to get into that yet. But it's a general rule of thumb. If you're doing the right thing, it's right. You do it the wrong way, you mess it up. You do the right thing the wrong way, the wrong time, you mess it up. Any one of these three, you mess up, or any one of these three don't conform, then the whole thing is messed up. It has to be the right thing, the right way, the right time. Talk about girls, boys, whatever, relationships. The right thing, male, female. Yes. The right way, purity. The right time. Here's another rule of thumb that I'll give you people. 2 years. God, and again, what I speak about is general but very close. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule. God will not reveal the right person to you less than 2 years before time. The time of walking down the aisle. 2 years. If God reveals it to you before that, there's a chance of you ruining it. That's why the church has like this setup of like maximum engagement. And I don't mean engagement like, oh, he proposed and then we stay 2 years planning the wedding. No. From knowing somebody likes you or admitting your feelings for each other to walking down the aisle, 2 years. You'll find, and of course I'm not talking about meeting somebody on the internet and then, 2 years later you're married. No, or like somebody, oh hi, my name is so-and-so and you look nice. Yeah, okay, 2 years from today you walk down the aisle. No. I'm talking about having known a person like you know each other through campuses, through churches, and then at one point you get to know each other, or like you start homing in on each other. From the time you declare your love for each other till the time you walk down the aisle is 2 years. Believe it or not, the person that God has intended for you could be under your nose all your life, but it won't come to your awareness until about 2 years before you actually can get married. Keep those rules of thumb in mind. Everything is a red light until you find what is green, and the green light will be given to you through your father. You approach your father's confession and it'll be confirmed by your parents. Then that's the green light. The second thing, you gotta do, this is overall, not just for dating, right thing, right way, right time. Third thing, until that time of marriage, you'll find if you look at yourself economically, everything else, 2 years before you get married, God will reveal or confirm who that person is. Anyway, that was just my little, okay, we just changed the Q&A to a lecture right now. Disappointed. How do we know our God exists? How do you know we were born in the right faith? And not just accepting it because we were born in orthodoxy. As generations keep on passing, churches are taking a more Protestant view, in my humble opinion. How do you feel? As an Orthodox church, where do we draw the line between being Coptic, Orthodox, and Protestant? It seems that these new mission churches are beginning to omit traditions, and also other Orthodox churches in the local area have done so. So can you clarify what we can omit and other traditions we can't? Loaded questions. If God is all good, how do we know what is evil? How can we know one thing without its counterpart? Black, white, good, evil. Why can't we all just get along? Can we prove the existence of God without faith? How do we know our religion is right if we base it on faith? Can't we use this to defend every religion? For example, a Muslim can say their religion is right based on faith. Many outside influences, the society, others, and circumstances shape my faith and make me question the existence of God and the validity of our beliefs. How do I strengthen my faith in God's work and existence? This is my obstacle for praying. Many different religions exist. How do we prove to others that our religion is better than others? That's a lecture right there. Better than others. Generally speaking, I'll talk about the whole thing with God. Just because you were born in a religion, every single human being is supposed to understand what they were born in and compare to what exists. You have to do your homework. Being born Christian is not an exemption. If you, till now, accept that you're Christian because you were born into it, you are a lazy non-Christian. You are a lazy non-Christian. This is not for the person who wrote the question. I'm just, all of you are, okay? Unless you look into your faith, you look into religions. And of course, I wouldn't be telling you this if we were standing on a false religion. And if I myself did not stand back and look. But your homework has to be faithful. First thing, know as much as you can about your religion, Christianity. Know this first, okay? Then go and study the other religions. And what I did, and I had the opportunity to, I went to those of the other religions. I don't recommend this to you because I did a lot of studying out of anger. It really put a fire under me to do my homework because of the hypocrisy that's in churches, that's rampant in Christianity, that's very clear in the Coptic Orthodox Church. So you do your homework. You can't prove anything. You can't even prove science. Take a science book and take a Bible. What's the difference? Why is it that we give so much credit to a science book is fact? A Bible is faith. You'll find facts in the Bible. You'll find facts in a science book. You'll find faith in the Bible. You'll find theory in the science book. What is faith and theory? Same thing. You just call theory, you call things theory in a science book, you call things faith in a Bible. Okay? So, a science book has facts and faith issues. A Bible has facts and theories. You see the point? Go back to the bottom. Where did matter come from? It just appeared. It just happened. I'm going to the bottom line of all these things, you know. Matter, dust, matter. A substance of any kind. How did it come into existence? One says, it appeared. It happened. It was there. Another one says, God made it. They're both ridiculous. They're both ridiculous. God made it. It just appeared. It just happened. Do you see the point? Both are the only choices that it actually did happen through. You are to choose. Did God make it? Or did it just appear? What sounds more valid? But if you had to make a choice, at least with God, it says something brought it in. I don't want to say a thing about God, but something brought it in because it just can't just exist. Nothing can come into existence. At least this says there is something that made it. So do you see? Philosophically, right there, you can stand to say it makes more sense to believe that there's a God who created than matter to have existed from non-existence, which is absurdity. And this is what scientists are starting to see. Not through this example or not through this question, but because what exists, there is such programming in it. A cell. How many of you know that the discovery of DNA, by Darwin's own admission, cancels out his theory?
Wait, how? How?
Do you know who Darwin is? The evolution guy. Do you know that the Big Bang Theory contradicts Darwin's theory of the existence of how things came into existence? Do your homework. Darwin's theory, which were the first theories of science to disprove the existence of God, all of a sudden you have other discoveries that prove the original theories as wrong. Will science tell you that? No. But by both accounts, DNA and what they realized is a Big Bang theory, or what they call the Big Bang theory, those two disprove the 2 points of Darwin. And Darwin himself says, if the cell is proven to be a complex, بتاع, then it null and voids his theory, my theory, he said. The discovery of DNA says there's such programming in just a single cell. And a lot of scientists, because of this discovery, have realized that there is a programmer, a designer. Anyways, like I said, I could turn this into a whole lecture, but I'm going to try to simplify it. Each individual, each human being born of the womb of woman, is to do their homework, whether you're in the Aborigines or whether you're born into the true faith of Christianity. Yes, I said true faith because I did my homework and I know that Christianity is the truth. You do your homework, don't take my word for it, but you got to do your homework. For more information, you can reach me later on. The other thing is that when you come to this point of is there a God, isn't there a God, and you go to the point of accepting that there is a God. If you don't accept there's a God, then that's it, it's done. When you accept that there is a God, then you look into what is Islam, what is Judaism, what is Christianity, what is Hinduism and all the offshoots of Hinduism, Buddhism, Zen, Yoga, whatever. What are all these religions? And if you look at what they say is God, who they say is God, who they say is God, you'll find either something harmonious, but definitely you'll find contradiction. So if you find contradiction, if I say Mark is tall, and someone says Mark, actually just, I think I was talking with one about someone, he told me, do you know this person? I said, yeah, I know him. And he said, yeah, he gave me a question, I'm like, no, that's not him. And he said, he's kind of dark. I said, no, the one with the same name that I know is light. So just right there says we're not talking about the same person. So when you have a religion that says God is this, and a religion that says God is that, or they're both God, and this one likes this, doesn't like that, over here it says this one doesn't like that but likes this, and they're different, then we're not talking about the same God. Then who they say is God if who they say is God is different, then all these religions We're not all worshiping the one God. But somebody has to have the truth. Why? Because if there is a God, then why would he create us? I'll summarize the homework. You'll find, philosophically, he'll either create us to watch us destroy each other, or because he loves. If you don't know where I'm coming from, just write those words down and you'll see how that works out. It's either he's a sadistic God who creates, like a little boy would like make something and then bash it. He builds it up to bash it. You guys with me in the back? I'm trying to do your homework. Or he's a loving God, because anybody who loves something or has a desire for something makes it. Just like if you want to cook something. I'm feeling like I have a taste for, or like I'm craving this, let me go make it. Or you see a flower so beautiful, I want to draw one. So if it isn't for love, you wouldn't create. And that's actually what they say about relations. They call it making love, right? Of course now they call it other things, but making love. So it's a loving act that through love, children are conceived, okay? So you'll realize that our existence, and if you look at all nature, basically the secret of who the God is inscribed in us, and it's out of love. So he's not a sadistic God, he's a loving God. Once you get to that point, what are the religions that show the love? Just by that alone, disqualifies most religions. Because, well, this is going to take too long, but anyway, you get to that point. You'll see, if you do your homework, that Christianity is the truth. And again, I don't say this because I'm a priest. Those of you that hear me, I hate when people think, oh, you're a priest, that's what you have to say. No, it's because this is what I know to say, that they made me a priest. You got it? Any priest in front of you doesn't, he applied for jobs, you couldn't get any other job, but this Coptic church said, okay, yeah, we'll hire you because we have a shortage. All right, okay, this is the product that you have to sell. So from now on, go preach God. And tell them this and tell them that. Okay, so Abuna Thomas will come and tell you, you have to love God. Because he's a priest, he's selling you a product? No, it's because his conviction, Abuna Murkus, Abuna John, their conviction of who God is and their love for God, that God called them to advocate. So don't ever look at a priest or listen to a priest and say, he says this because he's a priest. No, he's someone who did his homework. His or her. Oh no, we don't have the female. He's someone who did his homework and is, like Google would be doing, giving you a quick answer, helping you to get the answer, and then leading you in different directions, how to deepen your understanding. Now, let me just get through this. You'll find again, like I said, that Christianity is the truth. And then you'll realize who are Christians. There's a circle that defines what a Christian is. And you'll find those that fell off that circle of Christianity. They call themselves Christian, but technically they're not Christian. Whether Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, whatever. But you'll see that circle. In that circle you'll see the Orthodox, the other Orthodox, the Catholic, the Protestant. And from there, there's more homework to do to realize what is, of course you now know the truth, but which is the vehicle, which vehicle is actually the vehicle that God instituted. Okay? Everything else has deviated from that. And hence, and I promise you, that you do your homework. If I thought otherwise, I would either here be in a beard in a Muslim setting, or I would have been a person in a Protestant bench, or I would have been a person in a Catholic church. Because my search was also in anger and bitterness for the Coptic Orthodox Church. Because I hated the people. When you get hurt by something or someone in the church, all my friends basically left the church. And I would have done the same if I didn't feel that I needed to do my homework. And it's because I was saying it's not Christianity. It is? Well, it's either the Protestants or the Catholic. What? But you mean, and then you discover the Coptic Orthodox Church is the deepest, richest church that exists today, and not because I'm a Coptic Orthodox priest. I don't want to keep having to say that. It's because I did my homework, and you will see. There's a difference when saying, okay, it's my comfort zone, I'm going to do my homework, but I don't know, that's my, I was born into it, I don't know anything else. No, no. It was with resentment. It can't be. It is? It shouldn't be. Then why is it? And then something clicked, and it showed me the difference between what is the institution that God established and who are the people that occupy it. When that clicks in your mind, you look at the church, what a treasure. What a hidden treasure that these stinking people just clouded. And then you start advocating. If you really care, especially when you see loved ones leaving a very treasureful path, you start getting angry and advocating for what is the truth. Anyway, so yes.
I have a friend that I was
That's nice.
talking. No, like we were.
I remember I used to have one too.
Like we were talking, and I brought up like the second law of like thermodynamics, and like that whole argument how energy, like since it's limited and it's running out, it shows that the universe isn't eternal, so God made it. So then like he goes, oh, but science is still developing, this could all be disproven. And then like I was like, yeah, but it's a law, it's not even a theory, this is a law. Like how do you, like, do people just turn off and they don't want to like admit it? Like,
the problem is, be careful of how people speak and they think that they know what they're talking about. Not to disqualify professionals, but just because someone is a professional with like 100 letters after their name, doesn't mean to take their word as gospel. They say something, you want to learn more about it, research. But don't take what do you do if you just take it for face value, then you're still continuing to be lazy. Because all you did is ask a question and you got an answer. What about the logic and the wisdom and the philosophy around that whole question and the answer? So, back in my day, we used to walk barefoot uphill in the snow to the public library on 5 Corners in Jersey City, and come back also uphill, all the way back to the Armory or Jordan Avenue where we used to live, and go through these little cards and look up these books and go through the aisles and then flip page. And you're thinking people got this like Google. They got 1 million or 2 million or 50 million hits, thank you. If I got lazy, I have more reason. You guys have no reason to be lazy. Another thing about, when I got word that behavior in this retreat was kind of a little in disorder, just the rambunctious people that we are, that push the limit, that break the rules, all that stuff. All what good? Frustration? Was it frustration without judgmentality? I'm going to judge you guys. You guys are idiots by your behavior. You guys are genetically intelligent, incredibly incredible intelligence in this room. Each and every one of you. The problem is, there's lack of discipline. There's lack of direction, which basically comes from laziness. If you guys get your act together, you will find that you are powerhouses. When we say Saint Athanasius, at the age of 20 or 21, wrote the first part of the Creed. 21, and he was a theologian that wrote part of the Creed for the entire Christian world. And you think that's remarkable? No. His genes run through you people. Genetically, we have that intelligence. It's just a matter of, do we have purpose? Do we have direction? Do we have discipline? Do we have sensitivity to know what's missing so we can fill the gap? Or to develop things? No, we're just whatever. And you know what troublemakers are? You know people who cause the most trouble? They're the most intelligent people with the least amount of direction, which causes no discipline. And that's what you guys are. That's what you guys are. And then I think one of John was telling me that you got some kids who are like really good, and some kids who are really acting up. What's the difference? What's the difference? Those who somehow in their life got it together, have direction, were sensitive to the world around them, and they felt their responsibility and obligation to care, and others who just nonchalant, whatever, so they become selfish. They only care about themselves and having fun. I'm watching like the banging on the table. I love the beat. I love beats. I love music. Not as much as Carlos was getting into it. But honestly, again, just neurologically, do you know how much intellect that takes? And how much harmony and cooperation? There's so much. I'm overwhelmed by just this guerrilla act. It seems so much guerrilla-ish, like people bang on the table. But when you really look at it, it's intricate. It's very intricate. But what else do we do? This is fun. Let's do it. And we bang with such. It's like it's like people who find diamonds and they just put it all over, do anything with it, just kind of scoop it aside, whatever. Diamonds, and they don't know the value of it, so they're using it haphazardly. That's exactly how we are. Anyways, do your homework, huh? I missed the question? What? About what?
He doesn't have.
The mission churches?
What's going on?
Listen, you guys, about this whole thing with mission churches, Protestantism, whatever. When you understand, I'll tell you something. Anybody that's Protestant, that stands up here and gives you a sermon, you'll find that it's on target. Ooh, everybody got silent. Christianity, or let's say the true full Christian, let's say spectrum, is this much. Okay? From here to here, A to Z. What the Protestants did, they took out this, cut it off. Everything else is truth, except what they have to switch around to justify what's missing here. What is this? Bottom line, the sacraments. Yeah, when you say intercession, all that stuff, yes, there are differences, and these are treasures that we can take advantage of, but they're not associated directly with salvation. The sacraments are. Understand what this is. Any church that you say, oh, they're Protestant, whatever, they're using the means that is attractive to all of us here. I find myself very different than you guys because growing up in the 60s and 70s and 80s is very different than you growing up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever. It's very different. It's very different. Even the fashions. I remember, what was it? Rebecca was showing me something, and it's like, I don't know. It was something according to your generation was not attractive, but to my generation was very attractive. What do you guys think of the afros? Would anybody want to do it? What do you think of it? Do you know when I see them, I just like, wow. You know, all doors were single doors, and then they started getting double panel when the afros came in. You'll find that fashions and styles, they shape the person. You're nurtured what is attractive and not attractive. Can you imagine, like, I don't want to say too, but I had to make the concession of, you know those, sorry, no, wasn't you? Okay, sorry, table. You know those songs you people sing? Yeah, you people. You know those songs you people, give me one of these songs you people sing. No, not the real good stuff. No, the stuff you people listen to. What is it? Give me those like 99.1 songs. There's one. Huh? Who am I?
Yeah, one of those.
Okay. Well, Kumbaya's my but I listen to that stuff and I say, this is so sad because it's so vocal and so many people get lost. The words are nice, but it's just, and I was raised at a time when we had the hymns, there was a structure to each stanza, so everybody is together. And it felt like everybody's joining in. Now it's much more vocal. But when your generation listens to the songs of my time, it's boring to you. And my generation, when we listen to your songs, it's like there's still either stuff missing or wrong. But the content, nobody can deny. So the first thing about these churches that we accuse of being Protestant, the ways people do things, they've accepted the fact, let's have a band, let's do this, let's do that. Is it really wrong to have a band or like whatever? No. Is it, I mean, that's the first thing. Second thing is that the stuff that was cut off, does it remain cut off or should it be added? Because these are treasures, let's say intercession, or let's say traditions. Yeah, and some Protestants don't even, they say this is like making an idol, because they believe in the Ten Commandments where thou shalt not make any images of things on earth or in heaven. This is an image. Okay? Some Protestants really, will see that this is, and that's why you don't see icons, When it doesn't exist, is it bad? Let's say we take all these pictures off the walls. Does it make it not an Orthodox church? In some ways, yes. But in other ways, no. It's still a church. It's still a Coptic Orthodox church. But what is the difference between having it and not having it? When you don't have it, okay, you don't have it. When you have it, oh my goodness, you see so many encouraging people. You see so many encouraging stories. You're inspired by so many lives. And to know that when we take communion, that whole same cup and same plate, it's not just the person that are taking communion at this time that it is the actual physical plate that we just ate from. No, this is an infinite body. So if you have a liturgy here, and a liturgy in New Hampshire, and a liturgy in New Jersey. And basically that same body is being eaten by all of us in the same church. Ah, here's another spectrum. What's X, Y, Z? Everybody passed. The same body that they ate of is the one that we eat of. We become one with them. So there are brothers and sisters in Christ. And tell me, which one of you, if you don't have a cousin or an uncle or an aunt or a brother or sister who aren't really holy, that you always want to mention their life and what they did and things, about how their holiness or their love or their sacrifice. So it adds a lot to our life. This is what makes the Coptic Orthodox Church so treasureful. And the other churches become depraved. And why? Because they're protesting something. They're protesting the bad or the wrong behavior of people. If you take all of this off, all these pictures off, what do you see? Christ and Christ alone. And that's how it should be, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's Christ and Christ alone, using their language. But when you add this, if you allow these people to block out Christ, you're wrong. Not that the church is wrong. We have to understand those two things. There are cultural things for each generation, or each couple of generations has their cultural attractions. And to use that isn't wrong as long as it's used in the right context. And the other thing is that the Protestant churches deprive us of treasures, but the key thing, the sacraments, if you don't know what that is, you'll find yourself being lost. Those are life-saving sacraments. We tend to condemn the priests and the churches, these mission churches, and I've seen, not on the videos, not on those who are popular, but I've seen where some local areas where the priest or the people do go a little bit overboard in trying to attract people. And I myself feel that sometimes I do things a little too conservative because I don't want to overwhelm the people. But I have to keep that monitored, just like other churches have to be monitored. But understand what makes a Protestant a Protestant. Understand what is orthodoxy. Understand when a church practices things, are they practicing things wrong? Are they practicing things that are not truth? Are they not practicing something that should be practiced? You see? Don't just be lazy and sum up things and say, oh, the Protestant, like a gorilla, just like she's like, oh, they see a tambourine, oh, the Protestant. Okay? Do your homework, study, understand the differences, the intricate differences. Yes? Sure?
I have a question. Since the Protestants, sometimes they don't partake in the sacraments that we do, like for example, baptism or the body and blood of Christ. He says that if you're not baptized or you don't take communion, you're not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. But they're Christians. So do they go to heaven or they don't?
The definition of Christian is the belief in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and they're three persons, one God, of one essence, and that the second person of the Trinity came down, incarnate, immaculately, in the womb of Saint Mary. He's the one that was condemned by Pontius Pilate after having confessed the good confession and went up on the cross, and his death on the cross was to save all mankind. And that the Holy Spirit is granted to all of us, that he exists, he's the third person of the Trinity, and that he's the one that spoke through the law and the prophet and such. So it's about the Trinity in the exact definition. The sacraments are ways that Christ taught us So they're not a part of the creed, but they are institutions that the Lord gave us. All the sacraments in the church are experienced in the Protestant church, except for a little big factor. They celebrate them ceremonially, we celebrate them mystically, which means we have bread and wine, but when I say the church, meaning from day one with the disciples till today, remember, everything was the same until today, except the Protestants 400 or 500 years ago, when they came and protested, and then the latter 400 or 500 years, now it's something different. So the church celebrated the bread and wine being changed into the body and the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ, and we all eat and drink of the body and the blood of Christ. They share in the bread and the wine as a symbol of the body and the blood of Jesus Christ. And they all partake of it symbolically, like the disciples did, and they do this in remembrance of what He's done for us. It's a ceremony. It's not a mystery. Baptism, it's a ceremony, an announcement that the person accepted Jesus as his personal Savior and that he is now saved. So this is a ceremony to announce that he was saved when he accepted Jesus Christ. Marriage. They have it as a ceremony. Oh, the two, let's celebrate the two. They're going to be married and they're going to be one in one home and everything. And yes, they're going to be one like Adam and Eve. But as a romantic celebration, whereas ours, it's a covenant. It's a mystery where the two, it's almost like when God took Adam and split Eve from him, he made one flesh into two people. In the mystery, this is very crude, but that he took two fleshes and made them into one flesh. Okay? That's what we do. This is what happens in our marriages. It's a mystery. On the outside, they look like some sort of ceremony. But on the inside, there's a mystery that happens. So understand that, yes, they have baptism, a form of confirmation, Eucharist, marriage, anointing, priesthood, the general priesthood which we receive when we receive as Christians, whatever, different form. All these things are celebrated because they can't deny its existence from the Bible, but for them it's only a ceremony. But for us, or not us, but all of Christianity from day one till today has always been, it's a mystery, a miraculous work for the salvation of people. So, you had your hand raised again, Michelle?
Yeah, let me answer this.
Okay. All right. Mark?
What in the church, because it's never answered, what in the church can be changed or not? Or forbidden or not? What is capital T, what is
What is what?
Faithful form is a very bad form, and we don't see that the church is.
What can be changed in our church? And this is from a conversation, if we're in Africa, there's a lot that we would need to change. What would we change? We take what is in their culture and see what we can find that identifies or clarifies what the church teaches. So we take their cultural ways of the church teachings. Because what is tradition? Tradition is the cultural expression of the theological beliefs. Okay? Like, for instance, we developed, it's very difficult with the Egyptian church, with the Egyptian people, because the Bible shaped the culture. So it's difficult to discern which is which. But when you bring Christianity into another culture, and of course you're gonna see that a lot of things that we do come from Pharaonic ways, but it's not superstitious and Pharaonic. It has now been, it's being done to express Christian beliefs. So when you're in another country like Africa, you take their cultural, of course with the approval of the Bishop, what's done is basically their cultural expression is taken, and it's designed in a way to reveal the teachings of the church. So pretty much a lot of the culture comes into the church, but with great intricate vision. In America, we really don't need to change anything, just slight things. Why? Because there is no culture of the land. This is the great melting pot. And this is why in our church it's very easy to evangelize and to grow. Why? Because for the sake of diversity, America had to teach tolerance and appreciation so that we can all get along. Otherwise, you'd have the Little Italy people fighting with the Chinatown people because they're right next door to each other and they're two different worlds, whatever. You'll have the Jews in this neighborhood fighting with the Christians down the street. You'll find that the blacks over here and the whites over there, the Vietnamese and the North Koreans. So why don't we have all these fights throughout this nation? Because America has been successful in teaching diversity, appreciation for culture, diversity and such, and but it's gone a little overboard, where it also teaches like we're all worshiping one God, or all gods exist, all gods are good for people, or whatever, just appreciate and accept what they... Of course, this is where we have to have discernment. So if somebody's not Christian, we can kill them. But just for those who fell asleep. We don't have to change much at all, because there's no culture of the land, and America has done a successful job at making people tolerant and appreciative. So the Americans, the non-Egyptians who walk into the church, that's really nice. I like this. They've already grown into appreciation, and that becomes a new attraction for them. So do we need to really go crazy and do things like the Americans? What is the Americans? You know, it's so. Yeah. Yes, the one with the beard. You're dead.
Actually, I want to, in response to this, what can be taken out or not. There's a very important concept in our church, which is economia. Economia, it's not economy, it has to do with dollars. Economia is basically, it's a Greek word, means taking care of the house. You do what it takes to take care of your house. It's a Greek word, you know, it's two sections. Arab people call it tabir manzili, you know, taking care of your house. So, for example, in his great bishop Yusuf from Bolivia, he was here, he said, for example, like, you know, to pray in the middle of the week, it's in the morning, it's impossible for them, so they have to pray at night. They have to pray at night on weekdays. When you pray at night on weekdays, many of them cannot be fasting from the night before. So he would let them fast in 9 hours. Because they're working all day. They pray like pray at 7 in the morning, 7 at night, literally. I remember when I was growing up, my dad was on assignment in Tripoli, Libya, and to pray on Sunday is an important day for us. But we had to pray Sunday at night. The liturgy started at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Sunday, which is not a fasting day. So there had to be, you have to, if there is a change, it has to be for a reason, it has to be justified. But sometimes we like to make changes out of, you know, for example, The question did not come to any of these people, it just came to my attention. Oh, when can we order pizza tonight after midnight? I'm sure this is a... What do you think? Is it okay or not? Yes or no? Huh?
Actually,
Yes. On what basis is yes? There's a reason for it.
I have a question.
Okay, I'm not going to make a debate. I'm going to give you the straight answer. The answer is no, you can't. There are only 3 days in the year you can break your fast at midnight. It's Nativity, Theophany, and Resurrection. Why do we break our fast at midnight? Huh? Why? Because we just, not just because it was a feast, because we just finished liturgy. So break our fast at midnight. Not because, oh, midnight struck, it's time to eat Fatari food. Because this whole thing of changing from Fatari to Sunday is tied to our life and our practices have very deep spiritual meanings. We lose them when we look, oh, it's midnight to midnight. I doubt anybody started fasting midnight yesterday to break their fast midnight tonight. We don't look at it this way.
So does that mean that we're going to start Tuesday night and it's just that I have to start eating
No, we want to move away from this midnight to midnight kind of thing. Our practice is tied to our worship. Okay, so liturgy come after that. Yes, I change. I can break my fast. So somebody was telling me, okay, well, I order pizza midnight, after midnight, yeah, if we can fast from 6 p.m. have liturgy 12 to 2, yeah, and can break our fast at 2 in the morning. So you have to understand what we're doing. So if there's something we're going to be changing, it has to be for a reason. Not just because, for no reason, for very irrelevant reason. Which irrelevant reason is a very simplistic reason. It has to serve a purpose. When you change something, it has to serve a purpose. Yes. And for example, when you have 5 to 7 liturgy in the morning, you cannot say all the Hitanians and all the readings in Coptic and at 7. You have to make a decision. Oh, Abuna just told us to skip this. Because we want to finish at 7, because people need to make it at work at 7. This is economy. Okay? So any change has to do with economy.
In my church, there's a sign and it says you're required to fast at least 9 hours before taking communion. I'm wondering why that's there.
The 9 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. The 9 hours. Again, we can debate this, but this is just a traditional amount of time. You probably, people say, to empty your stomach. You probably empty your stomach less than 9 hours. At least in these 9 hours, you would have emptied your stomach. So the first thing that we're giving prominent, the purpose of that, so that nothing in my stomach. The first thing that comes to my stomach is the Holy Communion, Holy Eucharist. Okay, so this is 9 hours. Actually, the complete answer is you fast from midnight the day before with a minimum of 9 hours. So that if you're doing the 7 finish at 7 in the morning, you start at 10 p.m. rather than at midnight. And if the liturgy is 4 to 7 p.m., I have to fast from the night before. If I can't fast, what do I do? No, you don't do 9 hours. You ask for absolution.
Yeah, you ask for
My health cannot, allow me to fast from midnight or from the beginning of the day, from when I go to sleep till the time I have communion. So there's economia there with guidance. Yes.
When people ask for absolution before taking communion, can a priest deny them?
Can a priest deny them? Yeah, but, I mean, if he sees that, if it's not justified, yeah. I mean, it's conceivable. Yeah. I have a story to share. Thanksgiving came after November 25th, which means it's what? Siyam. So I know somebody who went to Abuna and said, Abuna, please. He was trying to plan ahead, who he's going to eat and stuff like that. Abuna, can you give me please an absolution to not to fast until after Thanksgiving. And Abuna gave him a flat, no, you can't. You can't. I'm going there with the intention to break a fast. And I asked Abuna, give me absolution. What's the reason? I was like, I can eat turkey. Is this a good enough reason? Is this a good enough reason to break your fast? Maybe I broke my fast, and I go to Abuna repentant, okay, that's another story. But if I am intending to break a fast, so, just to answer the question. If the logic is just messed up,
Like if somebody comes out to you giving communion and asks for absolution, can you say no?
It really depends on a case by case basis. I can't make a blanket answer for all the priests. I mean, different priests have, but it doesn't make one right and one wrong, okay? I use the best of my ability to make a judgment call,
But you have the right to say it.
Yes, you have the right. Again, you have to use your... I have a couple of questions in regards to that. Seeking advice, how do you choose a father of confession? By, it's exactly how you choose your doctor. You go and sit with them. If you comfortable, you feel like it's useful, or maybe you can ask around. And if you're not happy with the father of confession, you are at total liberty to change your father of confession. The most important thing to you is that you confess. The other thing. Sorry.
What if, this is very technical, but what if you have a father of confession who you're comfortable with, but he's very far? Is it okay if you confess to other Abonas?
Yes. If you have a father of confession, let's say you're in Jersey and you end up going to college up in where many youth who go to college in Boston. They can't come every, or maybe go to college in other California, somewhere like that. They can't come every 2 months or every month to meet the father of confession. Yes, I mean, you need to change your father of confession. I would advise somebody, you have to go. People come from Egypt. I'm sorry with my father of confession. That's the father of confession here that you see. But this is a sacrament. This is not a like an email thing or a phone thing or texting thing. A very important question about getting advice from Abuna. How do you know if a priest's guidance is from God or just a personal preference? Obedience is a must, but how do you let someone decide your fate knowing they can make mistakes? 2 issues here. That's if we can write down the set discussions, I think it would be very helpful. 2 issues here. First of all, a priest's guidance is from God if it's consistent with God's word. It's very simple. If Abuna, even your parents, the example says, children obey your parents in the Lord. So if it's outside that framework, they know it's not from God, his own personal opinion. But the thing, the bigger problem here is that how can you let, obedience is a must, but how do you let someone decide your fate knowing they can make mistakes? Priests do not decide your fate. Who decides your fate? Yours, huh? We decide your fate. The priest is an advisor. You see, you have to see God's will. You get pieces of the puzzle. You get a piece from Abuna, and a piece from your parents, and a piece of the puzzle from the Bible. And put it all together. You have to, sometimes I get cornered. Abuna, please, pick one of these 2 papers. These are like 2 colleges, I have to pick one of them. I said, no, I'm not going to pick. You have to decide. We can discuss the pluses and minuses of each option, but you have to decide. I cannot make the decision. I would not be fair to you if I make the decision for you. So you cannot let, you listen to, with great care to what your father of confession says. Pray about it. Think about it. Discuss it with him even some more. But you have to make the decision. Nobody's deciding your fate. I have many problems, marital problems, so they say, but so and so, he told me to marry this woman. No, you decided to marry her. You just didn't think, if Amba so and so told you she's a good candidate, doesn't mean that you You still have to do, as I want to say, you have to do your homework. That does not exempt you. We try to put, oh, Abuna told me so and so. Whatever, you have to do your homework. Third question, how do we know that we can trust the priest's ideas are correct? They are human too, and most heretics from clergy. Most heretics that were responded to, let me just again clear up the question. Most heretics that were responded to in the councils from clergy doesn't mean that heretics were exclusively from clergy. They're the ones that had to be dealt with because they were in position to influence others. There are many other heretics, okay, so let me get that out of the way. How can you trust the priest? You have to have a good relationship with God. You see thy will be done. If you are close to God in prayer, and you're in harmony, there's this synergy between your will and God's will, you will know for sure that this is from God or not from God. Okay. Many of the kings used to, in the Old Testament, inquire of prophets. There were many false prophets. And they were just, oh, the prophet told me so and so. No. You know better. Where is your relationship with God? Why am بدور على شماعة? I'm looking for something to the priest is supposed to help you and supposed to be like your coach. Your coach is not going to play the game for you. He's going to give you clear instructions how to play your game. But you're the one who's going to play. You're the one who's going to score. Right? Coaches don't play, right? They don't play. Are they important?
Yes.
Very important. But you are on the team, you are the one who has to play. So I hope this is clear, the role of the priest. Okay?